पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तन्न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः।
Gurubhyo Namaha. Now we continue with chapter 3, Karma Yoga, and here is the essence of these verses 21 to 25, the translation and commentary by Maharishi Ji. Yat yat acharati shreshtaha tat tat eva itaras janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokat tat anuvartate. Name partha asti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana nava anavaptam avaptavyam vatte evacha karmani. यदि हि अहं न वर्तेयं जातु कर्मणि अतन्द्रितः मम वर्म अनुवर्तन्ते मनुष्या पार्थ सर्वशः उत्सीदेयुः इमे लोकाः न कुर्यां कर्म चेत् अहं शङ्करस्य च कर्ता स्याम् उपहन्याम् इमाः प्रजाः सक्ता कर्माणि अविद्वांसः यथा कुर्वन्ति भारत कुर्यात् विद्वान् तथा असक्तः चिकीर्षुः लोकसङ्ग्रहम्. Now here is the English translation. Whatsoever a great man does, the very same is also done by other men. Whatever the standard he sets, the world follows it. Again, whatsoever a great man does, the very same is also done by other men. Whatever the standard he sets, the world follows it. Next verse. In the three worlds, there is no action which I need to do, O Partha, nor is there for me anything worth attaining unattained. Even so, I am engaged in action. Next verse. What if I did not continue unwearingly in activity, O Partha? Men in every way follow my example. Again, what if I did not continue unwearingly in activity, O Partha? Men in every way follow my example. Next verse. If I did not engage in action, these worlds would perish, and I would be the cause of confusion and of the destruction of these people. Next verse. As the unwise act out of their attachment to action, O Bharata, so should the wise act, but without any attachment, desiring the welfare of the world. I will be going over these verses again and again, but let's go back to the verse 20 where we left off. Bhagavan is saying, by action alone, indeed, Janaka and others gained perfection. Moreover, even looking to the welfare of the world, you should perform action. Here, Bhagavan is giving the example of King Janaka and others like him who were established in reality and still fully active in the world. And Bhagavan is saying, it is due to the direct result of this inward activity of meditation, the outward activity in the world becomes more successful and more perfect. And this is what is meant when he says, by action alone, indeed, Janaka and others gained perfection. And further, it is the glory of action that brought integration of life in God consciousness to Janaka and others and enabled them to do much good to the world. Now let's come back to verse 21. Bhagavan is saying, whatsoever a great man does, the very same is also done by other men. Whatever the standards he sets, the world follows it. And now, who is this great man? The great man is one who lives the awareness of being in his daily life and has gained a state in which he naturally maintains his high status of eternal being even when he is engaged in activity and doing good for others. This verse is describing the general tendency of the masses to follow the example of evolved men. When Bhagavan is saying, whatsoever a great man does, the very same is also done by other men. And whatever standard he sets, the world follows it. And so here Bhagavan is reminding Arjuna that he is venerated in society and that people will follow his example. Therefore, he has a responsibility which extends beyond the limits of his own interest. For the evolution of his own soul, Arjuna is expected to stand up and engage in activity. Even if he does not care about his own evolution, it is important that he should embrace the activity for the sake of others. Now, the following verses throws more light on this. Bhagavan continues, in the three worlds, there is no action which I need to do, O Partha, nor is there for me anything worth attaining unattained. Even so, I am engaged in action. Now, in verse 20, Bhagavan mentioned about Janaka and others who were involved in activity being situated in the self. And now here, Bhagavan points to himself as an example to illustrate the principle affirmed in verse 21. Now, Bhagavan is speaking from his absolute state of eternal contentment. When Bhagavan says, in the three worlds there is no action which I need to do, what he is referring to as the three worlds is the entire field of relative existence. When Bhagavan speaks about himself and the three worlds, he addresses Arjuna as Partha to maintain the fine bond of love between himself and Arjuna. And this is his skill in teaching. He wanted Arjuna to see Lord Krishna as close to himself and not far off as a high ideal beyond his reach. So, having brought to light the importance of action in man's evolution, and having shown the authenticity of this principle by citing the example of men who lived perfection in life through action, now Bhagavan is revealing the validity of action in the pure field of the divine, which is completely free from activity in the relative field. Now Bhagavan is explaining the activity of the man and the activity of the divine. It may be explained here that a man in the state of enlightenment, when he lives fully both activity and divine consciousness, because his life has two aspects, relative and absolute. So again, the enlightened man lives his life with both the aspects of relative and the absolute. That means the activity and the divine consciousness. But Bhagavan has no trace of relativity in the pure transcendent divine field. He is Paramatma, the transcendental, eternal, absolute consciousness. There is no relativity in Bhagavan. Nevertheless, Bhagavan says he is engaged in action. Here, Bhagavan, as the Paramatma, the Supreme Lord of creation, presiding over the absolute and the relative fields of life, and who is the refuge of both, is engaged in action. His is divine activity that underlies the continuity of ever-changing creation. He is the source of this activity that underlies the continuity of ever-changing creation. So again, Bhagavan is saying, in the three worlds there is no action which I need to do, O Partha, nor is there for me anything worth attaining unattained, and even so I am engaged in action. Bhagavan continues, what if I did not continue unwearingly in activity, O Partha? Men in every way follow my example. Again, Bhagavan is saying, what if I did not continue unwearingly in activity, O Partha? Men in every way follow my example. Here, Bhagavan is convincing Arjuna of the truth of the great principle that there can be no escape from duty. Again, the great principle that there can be no escape from duty without setting a sinful example in which the whole of society will be involved. Now let us see what is Bhagavan's action and activity. He points out that his own incessant activity lies at the root of all life. The entire creation is the manifested aspect of his unmanifested being. And remaining unmanifested, he manifests himself. And this action of manifestation expresses itself as creation. So, his continued activity is responsible for the maintenance and evolution of everything that exists. Without it, the entire creation would be reduced to nothingness. And this is Bhagavan's perpetual activity in creating the maintenance and the evolution of everything that exists. So Bhagavan says, men in every way follow my example. He further continues, if I did not engage in action, these worlds would perish, and I would be the cause of confusion and of the destruction of these people. Arjuna, in the verses 39 to 45 in chapter 1, raises concerns that by fighting he would be causing the disruption of society. And here Bhagavan, referring to himself, turns the tables on Arjuna. He brings home clearly to him by his own example that if he does not engage in action, he will corrupt the whole of society, and that his bad example will be responsible for allowing its values to be destroyed. So in conclusion, Bhagavan says, even if a man has gained fulfillment in his own life, it behoves him to act for others. Again, even if a man has gained fulfillment in his own life, it behoves him to act for others. This idea is brought out very clearly in the next verse. Bhagavan continues, as the unwise act out of their attachment to action, O Bharata, so should the wise act, but without any attachment, desiring the welfare of the world. Again, as the unwise act out of their attachment to action, O Bharata, so should the wise act, but without any attachment and desiring the welfare of the world. Here, Bhagavan is showing to Arjuna that there is absolutely no difference between the action of an ignorant man and of one who is enlightened. Why? Because action is action, whether performed by the ignorant or the enlightened. And then where is the difference? So here the difference is found only in the result. Again, there is no difference between the action, but the difference is found in the result. The result of an ignorant man's action is enjoyed by himself and concerns mainly himself because he is attached to it. When the doer is attached to the action, the result of the action is naturally attached to the doer. And so likewise, when the doer is not attached to the action, then the results are also not attached to him. Further, the ignorant man acts and benefits from the results of his actions, and since he is attached to these results, they make a deep impressions on him. And these are referred to as karma, the vasanas, the samskaras. Now, the effects of the enlightened man's actions spread out in the world and everything benefits from them. The impression of the result passes him by. That means no impressions are left. And thus, leaving him free from the bondage of action, because he has realized the self as separate from activity and acts from the basis of eternal contentment. So again, the enlightened one has realized the self as separate from activity and he is acting from the basis of eternal contentment. So his actions are in response to the needs of the time. They fulfill the demands of their surroundings. The wise are tools in the hands of the divine. They innocently carry out the divine plan. Their actions arise from their desire for the welfare of the world. So again, their actions arise from the desire for the welfare of the world, and they are responding to the needs of the time. They fulfill the demands of their surroundings, and they are the tools in the hands of the divine, and they innocently carry out the divine plan. Here ends the essence of these verses 21 to 25, chapter 3, Karma Yoga, translation and commentary by Maharishi Ji. Now I will add a few words. Now Krishna has declared a great truth that whatever a leader does, the masses follow, and whatever standards he sets, his followers will follow him. They will emulate him. And you can see this in both the positive and the negative aspects. So if the ruler is corrupt or the leader is corrupt and indisciplined and not dharmic and violating the natural laws, and if one is driven by inertia and laziness, then also the people around him will emulate him and will follow it. And this we see it in all walks of life, whether it is a parent, a teacher, a leader in the community or for the country or world leaders. And so it is important to bring this transformation within ourselves, and to bring this discipline within ourselves, and to bring this dharma within ourselves so that others can follow it. People looked up to Krishna as a great soul because he is divine. Everyone looked at him that he is God. And he worked incessantly and very hard for the welfare of the people. And so, for the welfare of the world and the welfare of all of the creation, to further the evolution, Bhagavan cannot stop working, cannot stop his activity. So it is important for everyone to rise to this leadership status and be a leader in your own family and for the community. The rishis organized these varnas, which are now called castes, where individuals performed actions and duties depending on their own natures. They held duties and responsibilities according to their individual temperament. They were doing what came naturally to them, and each member of the society willingly and happily carried out his individual functions. And a lot of the skills were gained from family to family. So when the society was functioning based on these 4 varnas, which were based on one's inherent nature, capabilities, temperaments, then there was great prosperity and peace in the society. Now here there was less confusion and there was a natural progression in the evolution. Everyone knew their duties and responsibilities. Here it is important to understand that human being alone has the choice of action, and he is the only one who knows what is ideal action. All other creatures have little choice on how they can act. They have little flexibility in changing the basic patterns of their lives. But human beings' nervous system has enormous flexibility, and their lives can range from one extreme to another. You have the choice, you have the ability to choose to be more destructive or more constructive, whether you want to be harsh or gentle, whether you want to be cruel or kind. So it is important for everyone to come to this discrimination and make the right choices and perform the right actions. But the greatest promise of this knowledge and the benefit of raising the consciousness is one can naturally progress in their actions and activities in life. Something that is gross becomes more subtle and gentle. Something that is very rough can become more tender and kind. The selfish can move from being selfish to selflessness. So here it is very important to understand that one should make conscious decisions, but also at the same time, if you keep on transcending and you experience the subtler fields of your own consciousness, and then experience the transcendent and be infused with the consciousness of the transcendent, which is the absolute consciousness, then everything is bound to change in your thoughts, in your speech, in your actions and activities. The whole outlook will change. All these egocentric desires, all these obsessions, and all these motives only for personal profit and benefit, and all this procuring more and more and wanting more and more comforts, more and more pleasures just for himself and for his family, and not entertaining any other ideal or goal in life, and just limiting this existence only for his personal acquisition and indulgence in this world. All this will change. This is the greatest promise of this Vedic wisdom and rising in the consciousness. It is just like the sun coming up. The sun is different when the dawn is breaking and you see it differently, and again it is different a little bit with more sunshine, and when it is in full splendor, then you can see so much, and so much of darkness is dispelled. Yes, it is important that one makes very conscious efforts to change, but if it is supplemented by the rise in consciousness, then very quickly the transformations come. Very quickly everything will change, and everything will change naturally, smoothly and effortlessly. So ultimately, it is very important that one takes the responsibility for everything within you and for everything around you. This is because people look up to you and they follow you and they emulate you. Not only you have expectations for yourself, but people either in the family or others with whom you are associated have their expectations for you also, how they want to see you, how they want you to perform and be successful and be useful. So it is important for one to rise to this status where you are able to fulfill others' needs too and help others with the evolution. The most important gift one can give is the gift of consciousness. And this is why it is very important that every child learns to meditate at a very young age. Maharshi has given techniques starting from age 4, and that everyone in the house learns to meditate, and also at workplace. We cannot resolve the current world problems or the family problems or the community concerns unless until we raise in consciousness. When someone doubts and when someone opposes or has concerns about learning to meditate and rising in consciousness, then you have to understand it is the state of the mind. It is the state of the mind which is creating the obstacles. And so what is the best way to get through this obstacle is again to meditate. When you start meditating, then these obstacles will be removed. These concerns will be addressed. The problems will be resolved. This is the most practical way of doing anything in life. And this is what from the kings at all strata of people have done in the past. Now if you look at the history of Lord Rama and Krishna and everyone, this has been a part of their daily routine. The dhyana samadhis, sandhya vandana, yoga, pranayama, eating sattvic food, these were all part of the daily routine, and this is what Sanatana Dharma has given us. So I will end here. Jai Gurudev, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu.
शास्त्रं